Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Anybody here believe in free speech? If you work for YouTube, you probably don't. And I know somebody from YouTube is watching this because they are watching to be able to censor videos with opinions that they don't like. It's been bad before. I have never seen anything like this. This is so bad. I just want to give you my opinion, and as I do, I have to wonder if this video is going to be taken down merely for expressing my opinion, Well, I just can't. I can discuss the issue. Hopefully I can discuss the issue, but I cannot give you my opinion about it, because if I do, I will be censored. What am I talking about? Here's the headline. This just came onto the internet, or I just saw this probably less than an hour ago, before the time I'm recording this, which is Wednesday, and you're seeing it on Thursday. Breaking: YouTube announces new censorship rules. Will take down videos alleging fraud and disputing 2020 U.S. presidential election results. So let me give you some quotes here, and then I'll try to talk about this issue without getting censored and removed from YouTube, or having this YouTube video removed. It's really disgusting. I hope I can say that. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't even say how disgusting I find what YouTube is doing to be. But I'll just give you from the article. Well, this is not just, well, let me give you from the article first. You can see I'm a little upset about this, actually very upset. I'm trying to tone myself down. YouTube announced Wednesday it will take down videos questioning the integrity of the U.S. presidential election that millions of Americans, most notably President Trump, President of the United States, believe was stolen through numerous fraudulent actions, lawfare, chicanery, and computer manipulation. YouTube says it already has been rigging search results and algorithms to hide, quote, misleading, unquote, meaning opinions that they don't agree with, election videos, describing the censorship effort as, quote, limiting the reach of borderline content and prominently surfacing authoritative information. In other words, they're burying or even outright censoring conclusions with which they disagree, but if you agree with them, you go to the front of the line on YouTube. That's basically what they're saying here. YouTube says that even though the, quote, misleading, unquote, videos account for a minuscule part of viewership, quote, problematic misinformation, opinions they don't agree with, represents a fraction of 1% of what's watched on YouTube in the U.S., unquote, the firm says. Quote, we know we can bring that number down even more, unquote. Now, I'm going to give you the policy. I'm linking to this article in the description. You can read the complete message from YouTube. But here's what they call the money quote. This is the part you really have to pay attention to. And this is what I'm going to comment on, and hopefully not get censored for commenting on what YouTube itself wrote. But here we go. Let's see what happens. Yesterday was a safe harbor deadline for the U.S. presidential election, and enough states have certified their election results to determine a president-elect. Given that, we will start removing any piece of content uploaded today or any time after that misleads, their words, misleads people by alleging that widespread fraud or errors changed the outcome of the 2020 U.S. presidential election in line with our approach towards historical U.S. presidential elections. For example, we will remove videos claiming that a presidential candidate won the election due to widespread software glitches or counting errors. We will begin enforcing this policy today and will ramp up in the weeks to come. As always, news coverage and commentary on these issues can remain on our site if there's sufficient education, documentary, scientific, or artistic content. Determined by whom? Determined by some liberal at YouTube. Again, putting me at risk that you're not even going to see this video. We'll see what happens. But there is so much wrong with that statement beyond just the censorship. Now, first of all, the safe harbor deadline. That safe harbor deadline is not in the Constitution. The safe harbor deadline is just an act passed by Congress that can be changed, but more important, can be overridden or overruled by the Supreme Court. Texas, now with the participation or the support of 8 other states, Texas brought a case to the Supreme Court, and in fact, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, is the deadline for the respondents, these respondent states, the ones that are being sued by Texas, to respond. So there is a potential Supreme Court case doing what? Questioning the election. They are claiming that the electoral votes have been heard in all these other states, such as Texas, Louisiana, all the states that are supporting Texas. But these states, the alleged offending states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, I believe Wisconsin is the other one, they are being sued because Texas is saying, and there's no doubt about this, by the way, this is a fact, so don't censor this, YouTube, this is a fact, that these states who are being, or that are being sued by Texas, violated their own state constitutions to pass just ad hoc laws shortly before the election to allow for this mass mailing of ballots. That is not in doubt. In fact, the Supreme Court, if it hears the case, they're not going to be hearing evidence. That is already understood. That is already stipulated that that happened. It's a matter of whether that is okay, whether it was okay for these states to do this. Point being, the Supreme Court has not ruled on this. There was another case on which the Supreme Court denied an injunction only yesterday, but even that case is still going before the Supreme Court, or they're still considering it. All they denied was an injunction to stop certification immediately while the Supreme Court could hear a case. That's all that was denied. So that case is still alive. But I'm talking about the Texas case. If the Supreme Court rules in well, the Supreme Court has the power, has the authority to nullify this December 8th safe harbor date and the December 14th date for counting the electoral votes in the House, by the way. They can override that too. The only date in the Constitution is January 20th, when the president-elect takes the oath of office. And I'm not going to name names about the president-elect because I'm expressing an opinion there about the election. And if I express an opinion about the election, YouTube may very well censor me, mainly for expressing my opinion. But what I want to talk about, hopefully I won't get censored for this, who knows, I've got to police every word that I say because I might get censored. But there's an illogic here. YouTube is saying that they are censoring anybody who disputes the election because the safe harbor date has passed, the safe harbor deadline, as they put it. Well, the fact that the safe harbor date has passed, even the fact that, well, it has nothing to say, either way about whether the election was fraudulent. And I'm not saying the election was fraudulent, so don't censor me, okay? I'm not expressing an opinion. You see how ridiculous and how Orwellian this is? It's 1984. I have to be careful what I say. I cannot say that the election was, I just can't dispute the election results. YouTube, I'm only saying that your reasoning is illogical, because even if it goes all the way through the inauguration, that doesn't mean necessarily that the election was kosher. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm not expressing an opinion of whether it was or not, again, so please, please, please don't censor me. I'm only saying that your reasoning makes no sense. There's no logic to it. And news coverage. So what about these cases that are going through? And what if the Supreme Court rules for Texas, rules for the plaintiff? Does that mean nothing? But what happens if there's a ruling that supports Texas? What if Texas wins? Then what? And then I guess this comes down, or are you going to still censor? Or will you censor people who, if, this is my question, YouTube, if this case goes in Texas's favor, and if, and I'm not saying, don't censor me, I'm not saying that the election was fraudulent, but if the Supreme Court rules that the electoral votes, that the election in 4 states was fraudulent, then will you start censoring people who say that the election was kosher? Will you change your mind completely? I won't hold my breath. And since we're on this subject, I'll end on this. Where was YouTube when for 4 years, or at least 3 years, you had liberal Democrats, you had pundits all over CNN and on YouTube alleging, falsely alleging that Russia helped Trump steal the election, that Trump's election was fraudulent? Did you censor any of that? Did anything about the Russia, did any of that get censored? I don't even have to look. I don't even have to do research. I just know the answer. The answer, of course, is no. The answer is no. You could say anything about Donald Trump. You could accuse him of boiling kittens in oil, and YouTube would let that go through. But it's, well, I don't want to get censored, so I'm not going to say. I'm just going to say this was the most wonderful, safe, secure election in American history, okay? This election was so wonderful. I don't have words to say how wonderful this election is. You can't censor me for saying that that Joe Biden was legitimately elected. So that's what I'm going to say, okay? I'm just going to say it because I'm being censored, because we are in a police state, and I have to say what YouTube wants me to say. I have to believe what YouTube wants me to believe. I have to love Big Brother if I want to be on YouTube. So I love you, Big Brother, okay? You've converted me. How many fingers am I holding up, Winston? Well, you tell me how many fingers. It looks like 2 to me, but you tell me how many fingers it's supposed to be, and that's how many fingers I'm holding up, okay? Do I want to believe YouTube or my own eyes, okay? I have to believe YouTube, and I have to believe, I'm forced to believe that this was a wonderful election. I am so proud of our new incoming president, Joe Biden, that I just ignore all these allegations. I don't believe these thousands, we must be over 1,000 by now, witnesses submitting sworn affidavits, testifying before state senates and state houses. They're all wrong, okay? They're all lying. Okay, YouTube, they're all lying. So you should censor all of them too, okay? If there's a hearing where somebody testifies that they saw something wrong, well, of course you have to censor that entire state legislature hearing, because of course, and if the Supreme Court disagrees with you, if they issue a ruling that disagrees with you, then you have to censor the Supreme Court too, okay? Let's be fair. Let's just censor everybody, okay? Everybody who doesn't say what the liberals at YouTube want you to say. I'm so afraid now to even talk about the election. I can barely summon the courage to ask you to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share with anybody you think would also like it. If you have any comments, comment section below the video. You can also put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers to other videos that I hope won't get censored. I'll just have to police my speech, that I don't say anything that offends YouTube. I would also invite everybody to visit my music channel. My original music, I do it under another name, Gene Allan. There's a link in the description. And I hope YouTube, that none of my music is offensive in any way. I hope there's nothing obscene in there. So, but you know, I might have accidentally sung something about the election, and of course, please forgive me. I'm sorry about that. I didn't love Big Brother enough. I didn't. You know, I just didn't toe the line enough. I'll try to do better in the future. And I guess I'll just look forward. I hope you all come back and see me again. Oh, thanks for spending time with me, assuming that you were able to see this video and it wasn't censored. So if it wasn't, then I appreciate the time that you spent with me. Most of all, I would love to see all of you again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, maybe I'll do a video on, you know, on kittens and puppies and little girls and pigtails, you know, stuff that won't offend anybody, okay? Or I don't know how, well, maybe there's somebody at YouTube who doesn't like cats, and if I say I like dogs, maybe I'll get censored. It's just a chance I'll have to take. But until I see everybody again, if I do, bye.